Hi everyone, let's learn some PTE. Today in this video I'm going to discuss read aloud, which is one of the question types in PTE, and this falls under the section speaking and writing. As the name suggests, you're required to read a text out loud, and this text could range somewhere between 55 and 60 words or higher. Now, this text need not be just a single sentence, but there is a possibility that it could be a long, complicated sentence, or it could be a couple of sentences long. Now here, though it falls under the speaking and writing section, it is a speaking question type, and the skills being tested in this particular task are both your reading and speaking skills, which means how well you perform in read aloud will contribute to your reading module as well as your speaking module. And along with this, your oral fluency and pronunciation are also being tested. So let's find out more about read aloud. Now in this question type, you will be given around 30 to 40 seconds to prepare. And during this preparation time, you can practice reading the text, giving yourself an idea of how you're going to perform. The next 30 to 40 seconds will automatically record your response, which means you have a maximum of 40 seconds to read that text aloud and record yourself. Now this question type, which is read aloud, happens 6 to 7 times in the entire test, which means this is a high frequency question type. And the better you can perform in this question, the better you can score. Now I'm going to talk about what are the skills that are being assessed in detail and the areas that you need to be careful about while practicing read aloud. In read aloud, you're given partial credit. That means even if there are certain mistakes, you do not end up losing your entire scores. So in that case, what are you being scored on? Well, one is the number of words you read out accurately. The number of errors you make are also taken into account. The quality of your pronunciation and your oral fluency. These are the aspects that are taken into consideration in your evaluation. And these aspects will decide whether you get full credit or you get partial credit when you perform read aloud. Now that I've given you a brief about this question type read aloud, I'm going to share some classic tips that will help you get a high score when it comes to this question. I'm sure you're all keen to find out what the tips are. Let me share them one by one. And the more you practice with these tips, the better you will be at read aloud. Tip number 1, use natural pronunciation. Do not try to sound like a native speaker. So try and build and work on your pronunciation skills. You need to sound as natural as possible. Tip number 2, speak with natural speed. That simply means you shouldn't be too fast, nor should you be too slow. Remember, the rate at which you began the sentence should be quite similar till the end of reading the content. Now, sometimes the initial part you might be very confident and read more fluently, but towards the later half, you might feel that, okay, I have a bit of confusion here, and your rate of speech might be affected. And that will also lead to a low score. So remember to maintain a natural pace and also to ensure that the pace with which you began speaking is the same till the end. Tip number 3. In the content given to you, you might have full stops and commas. Do not read out the word comma or full stop. Instead, pause briefly. But remember, if you pause more than 3 seconds, your mic will be turned off automatically. So try not to have longer pauses, only a pause as much as required to showcase or emphasize a comma or a full stop. Tip number 4. Remember, you just have 30 to 40 seconds to record your response. So do not correct yourself. Self-correction is not a good idea when it comes to recording your responses. So if you feel you've made a mistake or you've stumbled, continue reading and do not stop. And if at all you feel you've made a mistake, do not be tempted to start all over again. That's again a bad sign. So continue irrespective of whether you've done it right or you feel you've made some mistakes. Here is tip number 5. Do not skip words or do not add new words. Now, sometimes you might feel that in between the text, there are 1 or 2 words which are difficult to pronounce and probably you're seeing it for the first time in your life. Do not skip such words. Try reading it out as you feel it is right. Skipping out words could mean lesser accuracy when it comes to your content or the number of words that you've read out correctly. And do not add any additional word. So if you feel this word is difficult to pronounce and you feel there is a synonym that is easier and better, you shouldn't replace words. Nor should you be adding any additional words than what is not given in the text. Tip number 6. You might have a tendency to add an additional S to words that are given in singular form. For example, maybe it's given as pen and you might end up reading as pens. Or it's given in the plural form like homes and you might end up reading in the singular, which is home. Do not add an S or do not remove one. Read the word as given. If it is singular, read it as a singular word, and if it's a plural form, read it in the plural form. Tip number 7. Ensure to articulate numerical values accurately. For instance, sometimes you're given ND or TH near numbers. Like 100 and TH would read as hundredth, or 2 and ND would read as second. So make sure you articulate these values accurately. And at the same time, for example, if you're given something like 1980s, do read it as 1980s. Here is a bonus tip number 8. The golden rule to keep in mind while placing your mic. Make sure that the distance between your mouth and the mic is 2 fingers spaced. If you keep it far off, well, your voice will not be recorded accurately, and if you keep it too close, even your breathing sound will be recorded. So the golden tip here is to space your mic accurately. Remember, you do this right at the beginning of the test where you're given some time to test your equipment. So these are the top tips that I'd like to share with you when it comes to practicing the question type read aloud. Now let's look at some examples. The development of easy-to-use statistical software has changed the way statistics is being taught and learned. Students can make transformations of variables, create graphs of distributions of variables, and select among statistical analysis all at the click of a button. However, even with these advancements, students sometimes still find statistics to be an arduous task.
The development of easy-to-use statistical software has changed the way statistics is being taught and learned. Students can make transformations of variables, create graphs of distributions of variables, and select among statistical analysis all at the click of a button. However, even with these advancements, students sometimes still find statistics to be an arduous task.
The department determines whether or not the candidate has passed the examination. In cases where an appearance for the final public oral examination would constitute a substantial financial hardship for the candidate, the Director of Graduate Studies may recommend to the Dean of the Graduate School that the examination be waived.
The department determines whether or not the candidate has passed the examination. In cases where an appearance for the final public oral examination would constitute a substantial financial hardship for the candidate, the Director of Graduate Studies may recommend to the Dean of the Graduate School that the examination be waived.
So these are some valuable tips which will enhance your performance in Read Aloud, one of the most frequently asked question types in your PTE. So watch out our space for more videos regarding the different question types of PTE, and thank you for watching.
Medcity International Academy. Trusted hands forever.